dear friends, and welcome to our popular IoT webinar. Finally, we are back. And we have to say Happy New Year 2022.
Yes.
What do you think about
2022?
What will happen? What's the most important event in 2022?
COVID will be over.
No. I will turn my...
Oh yes, your 50s.
50s,
yes.
50s. But this is not topic for our today's webinar. Today's topic is much more interesting, and it is...
Blockchain and NFT.
And IoT, or how to use blockchain technology, NFT, inside of Industrial IoT. And we have a very special guest today, and our guest is Tomáš Svoboda. Tomas, hello.
Hello,
Tomáš.
Welcome. And thank you for inviting me to this webinar.
Yes, could you tell us where do you broadcast from?
Yeah, I'm broadcasting from a small island called Curacao. It's located in Caribbean next to Aruba, close to Venezuela. It's warm in here, so nice environment. It's still connected to internet.
That's cool.
No.
There is no snow, right? Because we had a blizzard, so it's here. So it's a quite a nice winter, but it's different in Curacao. So again, welcome to our webinar. Of course, in the end of our webinar, you will have plenty of time to ask any question. Ask us about blockchain, NFT. Basically, it will be questions for Tomas. But we have to start as usually. We have to start how we met, Tomas, with you. And, we know how we met. It was 2015. Do you remember this time?
Yes, these were all...
You were like a 80 kilos guy.
And we have been both employees in Jablotron. And back then, when being part of this Jablotron project activity, we came across a wonderful company called ELEDUS from Brno. And at the time, Tomáš was the leader of the company. And we visited them, and it was really amazing. Full company of students researching, developing amazing machines. So Tomáš, tell us, you tell us yourself what back then you had been guys working on.
Thank you for this introduction. I remember to these days like it was yesterday, because it moved us forward, because we started our company as a students based on my high school end school thesis. Yeah. So it was really a wild project, and we decided to deliver it robust technologies such as X-ray and CT devices are to industry, to automotive companies. And in the 2015, I decided, okay, we need some strong partner. I wrote you, and I didn't even realize how big this partnership will be, because we met philosophically. We were on the same wave, and so that's why it worked, and we moved forward. And even when I sold my company in 2019 and focused to a different topic, we met again and continuing. So, these times in the ELEDUS, it was moved me to the right direction, and you just confirm it when we start this cooperation again. So, it's my...
Yeah. We remember you and your colleagues are very smart guys, and it was a time of X-rays, and because you are physics, right? This is your background. Now you moved a little bit, and that's why we invited you to this webinar, because now you moved to the area of blockchain, NFT, these new kind of technologies, and we are very curious, what will happen in this area. So. I think that now it's time to speak a little bit about your journey from X-rays and CTs to blockchain and to NFT and, of course, to Internet of Things. So, could you tell us a little bit more about this?
It's a good question, because it took some while until I discovered this space, and it started around 2016 and 2017 when we found the customers for automated X-ray, which must run directly in the production and inspect every product. And because it was because of quality issues, we had to cooperate with the quality engineers, process engineers, and also another factories. So when we installed or prepared this device for the factory, we asked them to store all of these images in their central server to provide them also to another localities like in Mexico or China and their plant in the Czech Republic. And they didn't have prepared system for it. Yeah, even how to name the images or how to transfer them between these parties inside of their environment. And it little surprised me because when you see the billion-dollar companies and they don't have a basic tools to implement the visions of Industry 4.0, it's something strange. So then we repeated this story with the multiple another companies such as Continental, T-Connectivity, the huge players worldwide, and most of them weren't prepared for this. So I said, wow, it's strange. And I went deeply and deeply into the Industry 4.0 visions and studied these particular technologies, which is covered under this package. And it brings me into the world of digital transformation, not just from to the companies, but also to the society. Yeah, because this society is digitalized for a couple of years, and we can learn from this. So I tried to combine these knowledge, and when I sold my company in 2019, I decided to help one big company. It's called Brano Group, and they have 10 factories across the Czech Republic, one in China, another they plant in Brazil. So I said, okay, it's good environment, and I decided to help them with these digital steps to analyze this environment deeply because it was very good diversified, and then aggregate it back and connect the technologies which I found on my long way in the industry to one package which present these technologies as the functionalities. So last 2 years, it's been since 2019 to 2021, I explored this environment and I helped them to schedule some strategy. And during this, I found that I'm missing something. Yeah, I'm missing some persistent global storage, which can provide me some decentralized layer to store the data from the production and prove their origin and the moment when they was created. And that was the moment when I started to discover the blockchain as a technology. Yeah, and it was in the start of the 2021. Even if I know when I knew the blockchain for a long time, yeah, because for me it was again like new technology. But first time when I met the blockchain in practical way, it was in 2009 when I bought some Bitcoins to transfer them to Second Life game to buy some Linden dollars and buy some clothes and these things in this virtual world. Yeah. So I was kind of the early adopter, but after this long time, I said, oh, it's a new technology. I didn't know how to use it and how it's possible to use it and what are the benefits. Yeah. And then I spent the last 1 year with writing this platform for digitalization because it's revolutionary, but it's very hard to understand it, and especially for the industry and governments which are on the total start of digitalization. Yeah, so that's what brought me into the blockchain.
And let me ask you, when you start reasoning, why should such a factory floor decide for a blockchain storage rather than conventional storage, because you have plethora of options like cloud data storages from Amazon and Microsoft and many others, or traditionally many factories still opt going for on-premise storage, installing some local whatever SQL server or some shared drives and so on, and putting data in there. So what do you use as arguments why should these environments opt for blockchain type of storage ledger?
Yeah, it's absolutely great question. Yeah, because usually you have two parties like blockchain enthusiasts who want to put blockchain everywhere, and the database world who want to replace everything with database and keep them alive forever for any purpose. It doesn't work. It's our compatible technologies. You can use both, and you just need to think about which case is suitable for which one. For example, if I will need to keep the data for a case of warranty application for the future in automotive, it means like keep them 15 years because it's some common length of the automotive project, and you need to keep the data from the first moments when you are starting to testing these prototypes in your laboratory, and during each 5 years when you will replace the classic servers, you need to transfer all of these backups. When you have some warranty application, you need to access it, and so on, so on. So with classic databases, it's everything up to you. You have to keep this traceability, providing this data. And it doesn't matter if you run it in the cloud or you run it on your own servers. It's still in some, like proprietary closed database, and you have to do all these namings and so on, and integrate it with all your systems. But with blockchain, it's allowed to run it publicly or in private node. The installation is totally easy. It can it will totally simplify maintenance of these data storage. You can put it globally and access these data to everyone. So it can allow teach AI from it. But if you have it in some closed database, you have huge trouble how to provide these data to AI. Yeah, but when you start it on the blockchain, you can decide if you need a privacy or not. And with the same infrastructure, you can put this data globally. And even after 15 years, with just one-time payment on the blockchain, you will still have access to this data. You don't need to pay for the same persistent data each month. If you have it on cloud, you have to. So that's where you need to decide which data you need to very protect and which can be totally open. For example, temperature in your house, no one can do anything with this value. Yeah, he can read the history in your factory. But for example, when you have a molding devices in here, and you will start to capture these temperature data next to the molding device, and you will collect them and put them publicly. Any AI or any another party who will help you to discover some, issues with your device will have immediately access to these values. They don't need to call your IT guys to provide this information, and they need to stop what they are doing and searching the database, which database has the temperature from around these molding devices. So, that's just the one use case where I should select the blockchain instead of the classic database. And it's about a discussion, it's about analyze of your own environment, decide where to use it to bring the best value for your use case.
And how about this data security concern that sometimes, or in most cases, these companies don't want to put the data off their roof? So what was such a general inception of this idea to distribute data across lots of computers around the world?
I know lots of factories which has a bunch of data in their servers and don't know which one, they don't know how to use it, they just know that they need to keep them secret. Yeah, because maybe someone can steal it. Yeah. Even they are like a owner of this data, they don't know why they are storing it. And they're just buying the bigger ransomware protection, bigger servers and storing facility, backup server storage, and they don't know why they are storing it. So, okay, it will be probably better if they will offer it free, and university and AI startups who are asking for this data, hey, we need them to move forward to this technology, they know what to do with it. But factories are thinking that they are expert on for the data analysis, and that's I think it's just about the ego. Yeah, because when you will open yourself, you will move much faster. Because if I will take everything open, and I will totally, remove the investments into, for example, ransom protection, because I will know that my data are distributed to the nodes. It's very easy to back up them everywhere. So if some ransomware come, okay, let's enjoy it. It's decentralized. You cannot change it. And this will give me freedom and also free resources. And it doesn't matter if it's time or the money, which I can focus to innovation. Yeah, and I will save lots of stress and lots of money. That I will be much faster. And if someone wants to be inspired by me, that let him analyze this data. He can. I'm sharing this knowledge, and he can consume it, but he will be behind me if he will spend the time of analyzing my data instead of doing something new. So that's my opinion, and I think the first company who will totally understand this will win, like the Tesla is winning. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully these companies will change the approach, and we can see that some of them are thinking about changing the approach to this, and probably this is our mission, our goal, to educate them, to do everything we can, and that's why we are shooting this webinar, to spread this knowledge a little bit forward to people in industry.
Thank you too, Tomáš. And I have a discussion. How would you wrap up your effort in Brano? How would you summarize this deployment of this new groundbreaking idea to deploy blockchain in their environment?
Mm-hmm. In Brano was absolutely interesting company because it's been existing more than 160 years now. So it's amazing. And but it has some disadvantage, and it's a rigidity of these huge companies, and most of these big companies has it. So it was pretty hard to convince them to move to digitalization because they've been on the start and they just hear about this. And when you are helping the company like this to understand and accept and implement new technologies, you have to skip these technologies because they are just looking for the function. So first half of the year, I just spent going through the production, solving some particular use cases like some inspection and so on. And it gave me lots of information to aggregate them into some first simple strategy, what we should do to move Brano forward to the next generation of Brano Group. And then we started about 1 year to writing it into more complex strategy to convince not just the managers, but also people in the factory that we are trying to help them with these technologies instead of taking their work or so. So it was the similar troubles like the Tomáš had in the 30s when he brought the new devices. He showed them first devices and they broke them. And it was the same with the programmers or IT team there because they were a little scared. And when I explained them that we are giving them new functionalities which will save them time to focus to what they like, it started to work. Yeah, but still there was different parties who didn't like these, kind of revolution or changes. So I had to do lots of programming by myself because 5 programmers told me this is not possible. We know it because we are doing this 20 years. And I said, hey guys, I'm programming more than 20 years because I started when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I know that it's possible. Yeah, you just need to change the strategy and architecture. So I sat and wrote it. And when it was working, it was good argument. Yeah. So it was the tough fight, but they understood it after 2 years. And so I think it moved them forward, and now they are continuing. So it was great times, and it also moved forward myself. I've never been in a factory like 2,500 people around the world. So good practice.
Certainly, what a great story, and it must have been quite challenging because sometimes I hear Alan talking to customers and convincing them to go away from pen and paper, which is what we are doing, and your job was 2 levels more difficult. So yeah, it's nice to hear that it's possible.
Yeah, this is a real situation. Somebody is telling, hey, we have to get rid of Excels, but there is another story, paper and pen, in most cases. So we have to change it. So, Tomas, Pavel, we are talking about blockchain, NFT, but I guess that among our listeners, and our friends and colleagues, there are many of them.
Not just listeners. Actually, I don't feel very confident in this area myself, despite we were trying to study something. Please, Tomáš, try to explain in layman's words what is this technology about, because most people, including myself, don't really understand the fundamentals of the technology, and this we hear about it all the time, but really, if we start going a little bit under the hood, or you decide yourself how you usually describe to people, and you want to introduce them to blockchain. What's the best strategy?
And yes, and definitely we call ourselves as experts in hardware developing and manufacturing hardware and Internet of Things. But this is quite new for us. Of course, what we did, we went to Wikipedia. So I got these articles, what is blockchain and what is NFT, non-fungible tokens. But it's much better because you had many meetings. And I guess that you are starting with this, okay, I'm here because of this, and this is what it's about. So it's your turn. Pretend that we are 7 years, no, that we are regular guys, and you want to explain what blockchain and NFT is.
No, I will start very simple. It's something what can help you. You've never heard about it, you've never used it. Why? Why you haven't used this technology if it's already on the earth more than 10 years? It's a great technology which can save you time, it can save you energy, it can protect your data or protect your privacy or prove that someone can trust you, even if it's device or the peer, like people. So this is the blockchain. Blockchain is open technology which runs globally, which runs 24/7, which you can just connect and use it. You don't need to install it if you don't need it for some special purposes or tasks. You would just put their data or take the data, and you can trust that even after 10 years, the data will be there. What is behind this, like the millions of lines of the codes, actually it doesn't matter. It's just a smart principle how to connect data to the chain to be sure that some data in the middle will not be changed. And if someone will change them, that you can see this, you can check it, and you can protect it, or work with this, that someone changed something. So that's the blockchain. That's
perfect. So it was very important what you said. It's about blocks and chain, right?
Yes.
It's a chain of blocks, and the rest you can really find in Wikipedia and other resources. But the blockchain is fundamental technology for the cryptocurrencies, for NFTs. So now, non-fungible tokens.
And maybe before you explain NFT, you have mentioned one important aspect, and this is that when you store the data in there, you will find them there 10 years later. And the catch is that you are not able to remove it, which is very fundamental attribute of blockchain. Once you store it, it's there, it's burned, and you cannot put it away. So
exactly. Yeah, it's very important for the blockchain and also for people, because you want to store something, and you don't want to think about every month if the value is still there, or if it was removed, or someone changed it. Yeah, you want to just keep it there and store it. And blockchain offers this, and very smartly and efficiently. So that was what people bring into thinking how to use it for some representing some trust or some proof of origin of something. Yeah, and that's how the NFT has been born. Yeah, because it's some architectural pattern. Yeah, so it means the NFTs tells you how to use blockchain to sort the data, store there, prove their origin, or find their origin on or transfer them between the addresses on the blockchain, which are similar like email addresses, but with absolutely proof of the origin and back traceability. That's what NFT is. It's again same as the blockchain as itself provides some global functionality. NFTs offer this functionality also. And then you can use it for your use case to solve your trouble, what you have in common life. For someone, it's absolutely important to store his family photos. He can do it with the combination of few decentralized technologies like blockchain, architectural pattern, the NFT, which I also consider as a technology because it's smart algorithm or smart architecture, and also some decentralized storage. And if you will combine these systems together, it can solve you the trouble how to store your family photos for another generation. But for some factory, it's important to store with this pattern data, for example, about the production results at the end of the line, production line. Or, for example, for a robot, the NFT and these kind of systems are very important to check if he ran the program which is safety, which has been approved, and some address which is publicly accessible to have independent source of the information. He will ask the blockchain to find these data and compare if the program what he will run will be correct, to don't kill someone or destroy something. Yeah, so even the robot has this use case for NFTs, but lots of people are hyping this and overusing this or abusing this word to just NFT art. Yeah, the representation of some proof of origin of some digital art or physical art or some music. It's absolutely great use case, but it's hiding the real use cases, like this one with robots, where we did NFT messaging, NFT profiles, NFT invoice, receipt, and so on. So we can, you can use it for most of the use cases we have around.
So what was the original idea? What were the roots of creation of this NFT technology? Was it actually this digital art selling? Because we can hear about it every day. Just today I read some article in the news that somebody sold some series of his picture. He was taking like every day, shooting himself, and now he sold it like collection for several, I don't know, $1 million, and the guy got rich. So what was it?
You have to be. You have to be kind of popular, because I'm doing the same. I offer my pictures and nobody cares about it.
So yeah, but was this actually the motivation for NFT, or was it actually more technical, as you said, that actually the key benefits could be used otherwise, even in bigger way?
Mm-hmm. No, it started probably with Ethereum, I think. So the best moment when the tokenization started, but no one understood it in this moment, even me, because I had a different work to do, and it was described, this system, very, very early. And then just people start to implement it and using it in the practice. So I think the gaming was a great movement for this, and also the digital art, because there are lots of people who are creating new things, and in past days they draw the pictures on the wall, but now they're doing the digital art, which helping lots of companies with their logos or background on their page or photo on their page. But there is missing layer how to comfortably and globally reward these people. And because there are lots of them and they're on the internet, they have a community. So this started this huge wave, what we can see after last year. And that was probably the biggest movement, because then they started to sell these pictures or 3D models into games. So it opened the space in the gaming industry, where it's really revolutionary. But in industry, lots of people are, it's some scams or whatever kids are playing. So okay, let's keep them playing, and we need to focus to serious technology. Yeah, and they are missing the real use cases, and that's where we are filling this gap.
Yeah, we are filling together, and we are working on some real use cases, and we will have a time to showcase one of them, or we think that this is one of the real use cases of using blockchain, NFT, and industrial IoT. So maybe the last thing about, so we know what is blockchain, we know what is NFT, non-fungible tokens, tokenization. We have idea about IoT, and put it all together. because the name of this webinar is Meaningful Use of Blockchain and NFT in Industrial IoT. So are we able together, to tell
come up with
listeners,
something.
Come up with something, which is real, like what should be the real use case, for this combination of these three amazing technologies? Tomas.
Real use cases, I described lots of them and programmed lots of them. But when I, for example, watch to your devices and what it can offer, the first what we discussed was measuring the environment, measuring the temperature, because this is exact case where you have persistent data. If you will measure some temperature in some location, in some moment, it will not change in the future. So you will need to save it as cheap as possible for one-time cost, and then just have access to this data. Because you will need them within 1 year to connect with some smart algorithm in your factory or in your hospital or government. Or for example, if you are a hotel, and we are doing this demo also on Curaçao, each hotel wants to present their temperature of the pool, for example. And you can measure it, store it in the public blockchain, because you know that it will never change. And you're measuring it just 1 per hour or whatever. And then any booking.com and these platforms can source this information without calling this guy, hey, do you have a measurement of the temperature? We need to connect you, and your IT guys will contact your IT guys, and if you don't have them, said, okay, you don't have a temperature on our website. Yeah. So when I saw this, I said, yeah, you have a prepared hardware, and with these software layers what we have, and with the public blockchains, wow, pretty easy example. And I think thanks to your hardware is open source, open hardware, so open source, like in the tower, and our software is open source. I said, okay, this will be easy to understand for people. Also, the great example of the data which will never change. Yeah, so they can explore on this simple use case how to do it. Yeah,
definitely. You mentioned government, you mentioned factories, and we have many beautiful projects. I mean, in IoT projects, and I think, for example, this DEFRA, with the UK government, and we are measuring some values in the forest, and it's all about the changing the global climate and all those things. To store them securely and cheaply, it will be perfect. So this is definitely.
Or there is this example with cold chain management.
Yeah, and other things.
So, for example, companies need to prove that they have kept the goods under certain conditions.
For example, vaccines. This is so this is nice. So definitely we will bring something. And now, of course, we are using the standard technology, but to change it, in some cases, really perfect. So can't wait, to start this cooperation, Tomas. We already started. That's perfect. Thank you.
So, Tomáš, we have described the advantages of this technology and how industrial customers can benefit from it. So, what was your approach? How do you make this technology accessible to such projects?
Thank you for this question. This technology is just one of the pack of technology what I discovered, and also thanks to you, like IoT protocols and QTT and so on. So I said, wow, it's a bunch of technologies, and just to use one of them takes time to learn it and implement it in your solution. So I decided to write some second layer framework which will cover this technology with some maintainable layer and provide the functionality instead of these technologies. So in this algorithm, in the second layer, I aggregated my memories or discovering of these technologies and how to use them to compile them in one suitable package, which can deliver you, for example, drivers. If you are like core programmer, if you are a UX designer, you don't need to care about the drivers, and you are just using the set of the components to create your own application. And if you're a system integrator, you would just download already pre-built application, and it will provide you some API to all of these functionalities. So the VEFramework, it's open source, which combining the ideas and smart technologies and provide a functionalities for the people who want to build something with these technologies. Yeah. So
if you have a time, just show us a little bit more about the VEFramework, in practice. Okay. So now it's time, for a short demo of VEFramework.
Looking forward to that.
VEFramework can help you to simplify the lots of tasks around the digitalization. It delivers you the functionalities which are a result of the combination of multiple technologies. Yeah. It's based on our knowledge from the industry, so we combine smartly the different technologies which are very, very well tested and in good use cases where it can save the lots of time and the money, not during the development phase, the implementation, and also the long-time maintenance. Yeah, same as, for example, in automotive, where the projects must live at least 10 or 15 years. Yeah. That's why this framework is very flexible and also stable. It's based on two main points, like the stable environment for development. We selected the C# and the robust environment built on Microsoft technologies. And the base of the data handling is built on the blockchain, but also with the combination of classic databases and so on. Yeah. But this combinations gives the huge stability and long-term stability to this project. As I said, the VEFramework is a combination of lots of patterns or recommendation or visions how to connect things together, or how to, for example, use the data on the blockchain, which is called NFT. And these functions are implemented by some technologies like C# or .NET Framework, HTML, Niblio blockchain, or MQTT protocol. These technologies are very difficult for lots of the programmers, and there are not so enough programmers to fill all of these tasks. So we need to find a way how to simplify it. That's why we wrote it. It's kind of the second layer, and now the developers can use directly the libraries as a package, or they can use the prepared pre-built applications, or they can create own application with, for example, use of components. And as the example how to use these libraries and this framework, we created, for example, VNFT web wallet, which is fully open source, and you can use it as a template for creating your own web wallet, and also the NFT marketplace. Yeah. And we already have one project like this. It's a Doge.ft.com, where we sold the NFTs for Dogecoin, and it's all built on VEFramework, and it shows the interoperability on second layer, between two blockchains. If you're a developer or system engineer and you need to use the technologies like IoT protocol or database or blockchain, it's now very simple, because you can just go to our website, the VEFramework.com, and in resources you can find the link to GitHub, where you can find the full repository, also the wiki, another documentation, and in the first steps here is the easiest way how to connect, for example, your existing application through the API to VNFT app server, which can connect you to the blockchain or IoT protocol and so on. So you can explore it. If you will have any tips, we will be happy to help you with your project. So feel free to contact us.
And now it's time for practical showcase, because we don't want to leave you just with theory. We have prepared one project, and this project combines, of course, blockchain, NFT, IoT technologies like MQTT.
And real hardware.
And it's more for people who are interested in this technology, educators, teachers, just people like we are, or maybe you guys. So let's start with the explanation about this project. So what we are using, Pavel, as a hardware. Let's start with this.
So we actually started during our initial talks with Chester, because you had it accessible. We were streaming data to HARDWARIO Cloud, and you used our REST API interface to pull data from gesture about temperature, its location, and several others. And you have actually created amazing user interface which was gathering this data from blockchain and displaying on web page.
Yes.
So,
but this project for you and for the others, you want to keep this open source, everything. So we have decided to use our tower kits, tower sets. So you can use our Climb XL, which measures temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide. Just this radio dongle for to create the radio network around your computer, and you can plug it simply to any computer like a Raspberry Pi. So this is hardware side, and now it's time to tell us more about this blockchain and tokenization. So it's your turn. Maybe it will be better if you will show it on the real front end you created. Is it possible, Tomas?
Okay, so this is the demo of some simple collecting of the temperature and a few other values from the HARDWARIO devices. Yeah, and it starts in this hardware which will measure the temperature, get a location, and so on. Then it will transfer to the radio to some central station, which can be, for example, Raspberry Pi. So you will just plug in the HARDWARIO dongle, and you can connect to all of these devices. And then inside of this Raspberry or another server runs the backend service, which will translate this information from the radio to MQTT and publish the information through this IoT protocol. And then the VEFramework has the connector for both API and also MQTT. So it can subscribe to this information, same as another devices, which you're, for example, using in your smart home or in your factory. And when there is new message from the device, it will take it and store it on the blockchain in the form of NFT IoT messages. And when you have it on your address or on the blockchain, you are able to access this information globally. So then you can take some just simple HTML, JavaScript scripts and write the UI interface for displaying and analyzing these values, for example, like we did with our partners. So it was very easy to grab these values. But for example, if you need to set up the same thing and read them directly from your Raspberry Pi in your home, it has a lots of security vulnerabilities. Yeah, you will need much better connection and so on. So this is some kind of the chain where the values go and how they be stored in the blockchain from these hardware devices. And what is important, it has the edges between these technologies. So it's possible to listen on any level with another technologies which need this information too. So for example, if you will be in home and you will have this measurement of the temperature and also some turn off or turn on of the heater, they need to react very fast. So that's why they all listen on the MQTT layer inside of, for example, a Raspberry Pi. But then you need some listening also from top layer, like you will watch this value from your home and you have the sensor in your, for example, like weekend home or some holiday home. You need the direct access through the blockchain, not like connect directly to your Raspberry Pi because you will need a public IP and so on. So that's what we built very fast because the values was already there. We are able to skip all of these check of persistency and so on because blockchain already solved it, and just focus how to display these values also, for example, with the address and so on. And these UX like this, you're able to create amazingly fast. It's just one day of work to build something like this, because you can be sure that you can access anytime the values and their persistent and so on. So it will reduce amazing bunch of time of what you need to usually do.
This is really amazing, just one day of work, and you are saving, the time of your developers. Definitely, this is the nice example, how to use properly these modern technologies. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. And I have a technical question, which could be interesting also for our listeners. We have already discussed that, but how much data can you actually store in such transaction to this blockchain?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. The size of the data stored in one transaction on blockchain depends on the blockchain. Yeah. So, for example, Nibrio I choose because it allows to store up to 4 kilobytes of data in one transaction. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's pretty big. For example, Dogecoin has just some 83 bytes. Yeah. So this blockchain is very well prepared for storing bigger amount of data. And even if people think that the 4 kilobytes sounds very poor, like low bunch of data, but when you have the data like this, like temperature and so on, it's huge, yeah, because for 4 kilobytes you can write a whole basic in it. Yeah, so same as Bill Gates did it, I think, on 4 kilobytes, and he also left some space for user program. So you can compare it, for example, with 8,000 characters in a board or some text document or something like this. So.
Mm-hmm. And you have mentioned the trick during our discussions that if you need to actually store some bigger blob, you can have this distributed storage. So again, if you can give us the hint, like how do you solve this challenge?
Yeah, I solved it in a common way, same another NFT platforms or drivers, because usually you will combine the NFT transaction with some external storage, which provides you some link to the file. And I saw the IPFS, it's interplanetary file system. I said, wow, it's cool because it represents me the file with the hash, and I can just store the hash in the transaction metadata. And then I'm able to find this file on this decentralized storage or provide the backup of this file because I can easily find it. So the bigger files like audio, video, images, or PDF, whatever you need to store, you will just upload to IPFS. You will receive some unique hash, and then you will put it into transaction metadata and describe it and so on. So that's how we are solving this. It's common principle, and you just need to select suitable technologies which you are using for storing the image, so storing the data.
Thank you so much, Tomáš. So you don't have to be concerned if you need to actually store more than a few kilobytes in blockchain. So there are solutions already there for this.
Definitely, amazing technology, and I think, guys, that the time is up. And of course, we can talk in the future, and we will definitely talk in the future. Did you mention, Tomas, that even our listeners, they can find repositories on GitHub because it's open source, right? Mm-hmm. So this is perfect, and we will send the links in our follow-up for this webinar. Great.
As you mentioned, it's everything open source, so just use it even for commercial use.
Yeah, this is our approach, So thank you, Tomas, and of course now it's time for questions from our listeners, and we will do it during our Q&A session. So let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Thanks, Tomáš.
Thanks. Good afternoon, maybe good morning to our US friends. And welcome to Q&A session. You can use our chat to ask any question, and we are so happy that we have many of them already. Another thing is that more than 340 users can subscribe to our webinar, which is a fantastic result. Yeah, historical value getting better and better. So let's start with questions. The first one is from Marian Lukac. Hi Marian. What do you think about usage and future of the digital currency IOTA and IOTA tokens in the world of IoT? Of course, we have to pass this question to our expert, Tomas. So.
Good question. I thought that this project will be part of the future of the blockchain, and it's looking that it will be true. But when I contacted them, it was before more than half a year. I had a long call with their manager, and he liked what I'm doing. I scheduled some or recommend some next steps for our cooperation, and for example integration of IOTA into VEFramework, second layer solution, and they didn't came back. So I'm not sure how seriously they are taking these things about IoT and real technologies, but we will see. So I think it's an interesting project. It has some questions for me, and I didn't have enough time to go very deeply to study all of their functionalities. So, we will probably see, and I'm still open that they can contact me to cooperation, because they will need the frameworks like this.
Marian, if you are, more deeply informed about IOTA, please contact us, and we will do our best to study this cryptocurrency and see if we can use it. Of course, any activity in this era is helpful. So even the IOTA, and we heard about IOTA, we heard about this, and we will see how we can use it in the future.
Actually, regarding IoT, there are more related tokens like Helium network token. So this is another interesting project, encouraging you to build your own LoRaWAN network and prove that you are working and you can monetize this activity.
Yeah. Definitely, I'll ask our colleague Lucas, please type helium.com in the chat. You can check it. Maybe you will be part of this amazing activity. As I know, they already deployed over 500,000 gateways around the world. Amazing. So hopefully you are happy with the answer, Marian. There's another from Matej Havlicek. How does publishing of NFT work? When there is no authority, then who will prove the thing I'm publishing is really the thing I'm saying it is? Is this open for everyone so everyone can check? Again, Tomas. And please, if there is a bad quality of the sound, we apologize, but we are broadcasting even from Curaçao.
Yeah, sorry, maybe I'm doing some delays or lags in the network. But okay, about the publishing. Yeah, the best example of real working publishing is coverws.com, which is built based, on the VEFramework, and now we are transferring the old platform Coverws, which was built on WordPress, like classic style, to blockchain. Each article is NFT, so it can carry the data, it can trace the historical change of the article, and it has also connection to the author, because if some address on blockchain will mint the NFT, it will be the author of the article. He has the unique address. Yeah, it has a digital signature on the article, and we can trace it. So then the next step is optional, because you can use the blockchain as anonymous technology and hide yourself behind some address, or you can publicly connect yourself with some address. Yeah. So, for example, if these people on Coverws.com are usually some CTO, CEO, they have a LinkedIn, they can publish address in here, and you will see that, okay, this is the owner of the address, I can trust him, and he's signing these articles, so I can be sure that he's writing these articles. And it also brings some kind of monetization of the writing articles for these authors, because then you can sell the copy of the NFT for some small amount of any cryptocurrency, and they can receive it automatically based on the back traceability to the origin of the source. Yeah. So that's one example of it, and how you can check it. As a part of the VEFramework, we also have the NFT verifier or ownership verifier, which can use the UTC time and combine it with the hash transaction signatures to check if the NFT has been built by some address or is owned by some address. Yeah, so that's my explanation.
Yeah. Thank you, Tomas. Again, if you want to talk about this topic with Tomas, we will share the contact with Tomas if it's possible. You can reach him, and ask him again, or we can create even another meeting face to face to answer all your questions. Because from Matej, there are more questions about if it's possible, you can just dump thousands of files from your IoT project to blockchain. Do you need to pay for it, or do you have it to offer the same service for the users? It has to be stored somewhere. Yes, it has, but this question is much cheaper than with other platforms. But again, Tomas, if you can answer this question.
At first, you need to consider the two kind of decentralized technologies. One is blockchain. It's for storing short data. For example, on Niblio blockchain, which we are using as a main blockchain in VEFramework, it's up to 4 kilobytes. So you can write, for example, one page in some document like A4 format into the transaction. Yeah. So this is one part of that. When you have some bigger files like images or videos, music, whatever, you will need to store them on some decentralized storage like IPFS. It's an interplanetary file system. Yeah, it's a very smartly designed decentralized storage. And when you will combine them, you can have the system of NFTs. Yeah, but usually NFTs are using some external storage for these big files. But if you will store them, for example, blockchain and IPFS, it will be much cheaper if you have a persistent data which will not change. So again, it's about the sorting the two bags of the information once you will change all the time. So it's much better to use some classic centralized storages. But if you need them just one time write and then keep them and source them globally, that's the field where the blockchain combination of IPFS will save you a bunch of money and time. Yeah, especially for the long-term maintenance. And where is it stored? You can run this storage on almost any computer or cloud. Yeah, so now you can store it even on the Raspberry Pi. And so if the size of this storage will grow, and in the future it will grow, you will just connect another SSD hard drives, which don't consume enough, so huge bunch of power. Or if it will be so huge, we will move it to the clouds and run it on the cloud infrastructure. Yeah, and because of sharing of this infrastructure, same as of sharing of this that kind of the database, you will be able to save a lots of money.
Yeah. There are more questions about the prices of transaction and everything. So as you mentioned already, in some cases, or maybe in all cases, is much cheaper, than using the standard storages or standard technologies. That's why it's not the only thing, why to use the blockchain, but this is one of the advantages, right?
And if I understand correctly, you are basically paying just one time when you are inserting some data into it. So that's one of the you have mentioned previously.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there are is answering just cost of a transaction, which is sub-cent fee on Neblio. Maybe it's time to better describe the Neblio price policy.
No, From my point, I'm probably the only one person in blockchain cryptocurrency world who is happy that all market prices are falling down. Because for example, I mentioned the Neblio because I don't have explored all of these blockchains, but on Neblio, with just one Nebel, which is basic coin on this blockchain, you can do up to 5,000 transactions with the stored data. Yeah. So if the price of the Neblio will be very low, it will be cheaper and cheaper to write there the data. Yeah. And usual cost is around 0.6 cents of the Czech crown. I don't know how much is it in dollars, but it's very substantial fee, and you will pay it for one time. Yeah, and then you can access these data anytime. Yeah, but you need to consider that if you want to store also some file like image or movie or whatever, you need to have some storage on your hardware. Then you can don't need to like buy it from some cloud, or you can store it on some cloud to use shared services like cloud is. Yeah, so the calculation of total costs and long-term costs are based on the use case. Yeah, so it's very hard to do some like common price. Yeah, because it's much better and easier to calculate it based on some one purpose. But to be honest, I've never seen something cheap like the blockchain, because the price, if you're calculating the price, you need to also calculate the savings, what you have in compare with the classic infrastructure. Yeah, so you can save a lot of time, lots of money for buying the several protection of your data if you have it on classic servers. So all of these things play a huge role in the calculating of the final price.
I see. Thank you, Tomas. I can see more comments about our quality of audio. Probably you do understand that the first part is pre-recorded. That's why we are using this pre-recorded part to give you the best quality from the main content of this webinar. Q&A session should be better when our host is in our studio, but Tomas is somewhere else. So sorry for this. Again, if you will have a time, just contact us directly, and we will answer all your questions lately. Even we can create face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Also,
another question.
Best internet in Curacao, but still it's not fast enough.
Yeah, but we will handle it as always, and we are smiley. But of course, we are sorry for you guys. You were waiting, for this webinar for so long. So now the same question about price to create NFT and store it. So hopefully we answer all these questions. The difference between what would be the difference of doing the storage directly into IPFS? I guess that Tomas already answered this question. Why we are using IPFS. And there is a question about GDPR, which is a very popular topic in our company. How do you handle the special permission models or data protected by GDPR?
To be honest, I don't like GDPR. I think it's overhyped and it's blocking lots of the companies, and actual protection of the people is not good. Yeah, because what is their option to ask for these rights? Yeah, they can judge the company or sue the company. Yeah, I think it will not work for a long time, and it's just complicating the digitalization of any industry institutions. The GDPR can be a real issue for the blockchain because you cannot delete the information on the blockchain. Yeah. So and part of the GDPR regulations there is that any person have a right to ask for the deleting the records. Yeah. But when the GDPR came, it was a real mess because, for example, you can ask to delete medical records. It's personal, yeah, and each country had to handle this situation by themselves. Yeah, I've been very lucky because I've been part of the Electrotechnic Association of the Czech Republic. And when the GDPR came, they did, I think, at minimum tens, maybe hundreds of the different talks and presentation about how we can implement it correctly and still be open, still be secure. Yeah. So I got some knowledge about this, but not so deeply, and these regulations are changing. So in future, I hope that the ones who wrote this very bad regulation will solve how to combine it with the blockchain technologies. Because even Czech government, when I asked them on annual meeting of the Confederation of Industry, I asked them about how they plan to implement decentralized technologies, and they said, "Wow, yeah, we are planning this. We already did the analysis, and the savings are huge for the government." Yeah, and all of these offices, like or institutions like hospitals, schools, etc., etc. So they're planning to use it. They know that it will save a bunch of money, not just the government, but also for the people in Czech Republic. But this is a huge block. So I would be very happy if some lawyers can help to analyze this and find a smooth way how to combine, because we want to protect people, yeah, but real protect, yeah, not just give them some tools how to sue someone and make the society much worse. So that's part of my opinion.
Definitely, we need more people, more smart people, or people who understand the technology, you know, into these government agencies, you know, because GDPR is just a topic, but with using of this technology can help it tremendously. Thank you. There is a nice question from Lukas Ruchka. Many blockchains tokens are new, and some will disappear in the coming years. Probably.
Every day.
Yeah. How to choose a suitable blockchain technology with a view to long-term existence?
Yeah,
I think that's
a great question. And that's the reason why I choose the Nibli. Yeah, lots of people don't understand it, why I choose some old forgotten blockchain. But it's very well designed, and it's not hyped. Yeah, because the guy who wrote it is he used to work in a Cisco, yeah, and he's a professional developer, and he decided to write some long-term sustainable enterprise grade blockchain, which will be also public, yeah. And he liked the coding, and he don't like the marketing, yeah. So it's been a little forgotten, but I saw that he's writing it because of his passion and because the main goal create some sustainable and long-term supported blockchain. And he did it. And even after the bubble prices in 2018, where I expect he was able to earn some money, he was still coding, yeah, and much harder than before. Yeah, and it convinced me because, you know, I'm able to do the analysis of the code. I searched the GitHub repository. I chat with this guy many times. I did some work with him to upgrade some external libraries. And after this, he convinced me, okay, it's stable, it can survive, and it's open source, and I understand it because it's not overwhelmed with the features which are not necessary for real world adoption. So it's very easy to maintain it. Even if he will stop working, we can still continue when he's stopped. Yeah, but with these huge chains which are popular, has great marketing, and so many features, it will be very hard to let them maintainable for the long term. And also very important was that he didn't want to do the lots of direct interoperabilities, because lots of blockchains, just because of the marketing, they did a lots of interoperability on the first layer. Yeah, and it's not good. Yeah, we already discovered this in factories when we started to discover the visions of Industry 4.0. And now we are unconnecting these systems because there is so mass and everything is connected together that it's very hard to maintain it. And lots of the blockchains will discover this in the next several years. So, you know, in new technologies, it's much better to be a little rigid and focus to basic functionalities, which works absolutely great. And then when you need some another functionalities, you will add them at first in the second layer, and then you can consider that you will build them into first layer. So if you will see some blockchains which are going in this strategy, it will be probably secure for long term. So that's and also the energy consumption. Yeah, because I saw that proof of work consuming lots of energy. It can be used for some purposes, like for example, Flux using these mining devices for decentralized cloud. That's very smart. But I focused to more industrial and IoT focused blockchain, which is built on the proof of stake, and you can stake it on very low power, like even in the light bulb or on the Raspberry Pi and so on. So it's probably about it.
Thank you, Tomas. And luckily we have Ryan X, who is helping us in the chat, and he already answered questions of Maciej and Roman Hosek. Thank you, Ryan. As Ryan mentioned in chat, the Neblio community is quite knowledgeable. That's what we can see. So yes, we can recommend this Neblio cryptocurrency, but probably there are other currencies which are in the same way. What is important for me, and what is mentioned here, that you don't need to use miners and powerful PCs, to mine this cryptocurrency. It's Raspberry Pi. It's another thing, when we are speaking about saving energy and everything, this is not our goal, to support the other cryptocurrencies or these vapes. We want to use this technology for the good of mankind, right?
Maybe you can elaborate. What do you need actually if you start operating Neblio technology? On which platforms does it run, and so?
Okay, it can run on any platform, like from microcontrollers up to the cloud. And so it's really up to you and what you want to achieve with this. Yeah, so that's why we in VEFramework we open all of these possibilities. Yeah, and it's up to user or developer how he wants to use it. Yeah, so at first probably you need to just study the documentation and some examples what we wrote, or play a little with the VNFT app. And then you can, for example, create your own tokens for sorting the data much properly. Same, for example, as we did with HARDWARIO for their IoT devices, we created the HIT token on the Neblio network, which allows to sort the data exactly for the use case. So if the developer wants to create his own application, it's recommended to create own token, because then he can smartly and very easily sort the data just for his use case. So this is probably some next step. And then he can start just using the functionalities instead of just the technology. Because if he wants to mint NFT, he would just call the command mint NFT, and that's it. Yeah. And I also will connect the answer for one question from Roman Hosek, because it's very, very important. He also needs to check or decide if he wants to have the data publicly or not. Because on blockchain, and especially in VEFramework, we prepared the tools which can, for example, encrypt all the stored data on the blockchain, and we have some smart algorithms, so you don't need to share the password to be able to encrypt it, because it uses the private keys on the blockchain. So this is some next steps, it's like select the strategy of your project, if you need to have it publicly or not, and so on. So these are some first steps. So one answer this.
Yeah, Tomas, thank you so much. It's almost 1 hour and 50 minutes, so it's time, to end our webinar, to thank you, for joining us from Curaçao. Please return back to our country, to Europe. Help us with these technologies. Of course, it's not a question. Where do your work, but still, it would be nice to have you here in our studio next time. For you guys, thank you for watching our webinar. Please subscribe to our channels, to YouTube channel, LinkedIn, follow us, because in this case, you will be informed about what's happening, even in this area of blockchain, NFT, HIT token, as Tomáš mentioned. Of course, Tomas is on Twitter too. You can find him as a PhysicTom or PhysicTom. We will share it in follow-up, Technicinsider, VNFT, all these channels. So again, please subscribe. If you want to be our partner and be in the same situation like Tomas, you can go to our webpage, hardwario.com, and please find the section partners. We can discuss your partnership. Our partners network is growing rapidly, and we'll be happy to have you among them. The last thing from you, Pavel.
And come to the next webinar. We have really exciting topic for you. You will like it.
And we can say it will be about saving energy, which is very important in this time. So again, Tomas, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to be in your webinar. And if someone will have any additional questions, feel free to ask me. I'm on Twitter as PhysicTom or LinkedIn, or you can find the contacts on the VEFramework.com webpage. So I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. So,
awesome. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye-bye.